Hello, YouTube and antenatal curious folks out there. It's been some time since I've done a video on antinatalism, and I wanted to kind of refresh my opinion a little bit. It's the same opinion, but I wanted maybe to add a little bit to it. Number one thing I think that the antinatalist philosophy suffers from is naming. It's a bad name. Whenever you put anti in front of something, you're imagining there's going to be a bunch of people there that are just against that thing, and their primary focus is to be against something, and therefore, what are they for? So it sounds like a very kind of it's a negative name. It's a negative connotation attached to the name antinatalism. I think if you started a conversation with somebody and they said, well, you got into the weeds a little bit with them, and they said, what do you believe? You could say, well, I believe in responsibility. So what do you mean responsibility? And you could say, well, I believe in total responsibility. In other words, I don't want to be doing things to people or animals that I think could be harmful to them, and I would rather do nothing than to do something harmful. I think that would be more responsible than acting and doing things that we don't know the consequences of. Would you agree? I think most people would agree, like, yeah, that's actually prohibiting yourself from doing things that may be harmful to other beings, regardless of whether you have a vested interest in doing those things. That is the most responsible stance to take. So I'm a pro-responsibilist. I'm pro-responsibility, and part of that overarching desire to do no harm includes not having children that may very well or certainly will suffer and then die. So I think renaming and reframing this word antinatalism into something like pro-responsibility is a good start. And on the responsibility tangent, I had an interesting discussion a couple months back with a fellow from the UK who contacted me via this channel and wanted to talk. And I forget the name of his, it wasn't an organization, but it was a kind of a philosophical tangent. Something like, what the heck was it again? The thesis was that antinatalism doesn't go far enough. I think it was like extinctionism or something like that. Like antinatalism doesn't go far enough. We need to actually take responsibility, take matters into our own hands, and start killing everything. It sounded to me like this was the case, and even going off into in spaceships into the universe to kill other things that are alive, because they're going to suffer as well. Now the problem with that, for me, is we don't know that every form of life in the universe, if there is any other forms in the universe, we don't know what their state of consciousness is like. We don't know whether they're happy to be alive, whether they're generally happy to be alive and they're not suffering the way we are. So to go out into the universe with a conjecture that we know what's best for every living being in the universe, even though we've never even met them, that's irresponsible. So that wouldn't land under the umbrella of the responsibilist, right? Antinatalism, on the other hand, would, because you're thinking, well, I know the consequences of a human life pretty well. And I also know the consequences and the impact of human beings on other sentient beings, having to eat them and whatnot. So it's a pretty good bet that you're just stopping yourself from creating more human life, and there's no downside to the life that's not created. They're not going to suffer. They won't know the difference. So that's what I have for you today. Just a reframe of the word antinatalism into something more positive, something that can engage people conversationally a little more easily, and then the limits of that responsibility, the limits of our knowledge. Thanks for watching.